Welcome to episode 3 of Debunk's Unfiltered podcast. Here the mics are always hot. This week we take on a big subject matter, the Constitution. I don't know what's more unbelievable, that it's been 10 years since Kenyans voted for the Constitution, or that everyone still calls it the new Constitution. On the show today, Advocate Peter Njoroge, our resident data scientist Juliet Atellah, super creative Kolo the Prince, and I, your host Patrick Gatua, bringing you all the unfiltered opinions to the table. May the law be with us all. Okay, the Kenyan Constitution was promulgated the 27th of August 2010. 68% of Kenyans voted for it. It's interesting how 10 years later people are still calling it the new Constitution. Tomorrow marks exactly 10 years when this Constitution was promulgated. But why are we calling it the new Constitution?
That's a good question. First of all, I think the question will be, have we read the Constitution in the first place? Have we made the comparison of this Constitution and the previous one, like the 1969?
And talking about that Constitution, you know, we had a conversation here before you walked in. There was this beautiful thing about this Constitution, the poetry inside it. When it comes to the preamble, we're having a conversation about that. Collins, Utamwe Constitution.
I think the Constitution is a beautiful document. The people who envisaged, there's a word people like to throw around all the time. We envisaged. When the committee of experts were drafting this thing, Bobby Mkangi, you know, those are brilliant minds. You know, those are brilliant legal minds. They had, from the conversation and from reading the Constitution, okay, I'm not a lawyer, so I didn't go into the deep end of it. Peter is here to tell us more about that. But from what I've seen from an ordinary Kenyan's perspective, it's a beautiful document. And I love the fact where it says that everyone is supposed to uphold the rule of law. Well, what it did not say Collins and Peter and Juliet but these other ones cannot do it. It said every Kenyan citizen should uphold the rule of law. Me hata sitaki kwenda vitu zingine mingi. Wacha nikwame tu hapo, because that is the fundamental, the founding principle of this Constitution. Amen.
Sawa, Peter. Yes. How many people do you think have actually voted for this Constitution? Na kusema ukweli, wangapi wetu wamesoma this Constitution?
If you are speaking about or asking about reading it verbatim, word for word, I would say very few, maybe a very small percentage of Kenyans. But I would argue that majority of Kenyans understand it, because I remember I voted, the first time I voted, I was during the referendum for the Constitution, and there were a lot of public participation initiatives. They were printed in the gazettes, they were read on radio, even in vernacular. So a majority of Kenyans have a grasp of what the Constitution entails and it contains. And they are aware of Chapter 6 everywhere in any conversation, whether with a boda, whether with a taxi driver. All around the country, you'll hear a conversation about Chapter 6 and integrity. You hear a conversation about Article 10 and the national values of Kenya. You'll hear issues about public participation. Yes. We were not consulted. This is a very good word that was, I think, popularized by Baba.
Yes, and we've been hearing, we've been hearing even in BB High, people say we were not consulted. Yes. Where have you guys come up with this document?
Yes. Yeah. Not anymore easy jokes. Where Baba would go to Mama Wambogo and say,
Baba those are the fruits of the Constitution. So in terms of the general view, a lot of Kenyans understand what it contains, and sometimes, not all the time, but most of the times, they demand that it be respected and it be upheld. Like Colin said, the Constitution requires everyone to defend it and uphold it.
Yes. Now, tukiongea mambo ya could defend this Constitution, honestly, do we think this promulgated Constitution, kusema ukweli, has it lived to its promises?
No. I'll say yes, no as well.
What I'm saying, some of these things, to be honest, some of these things, okay, for me, this constitution has not been implemented in its full entirety. So for you to stand up and tell me, oh, we need to amend this thing, we need to create more positions. First of all, I always tell people, always be a student of history.
Thank you.
In history, there was a time the Jomo Kenyatta, the first president, had 8 vice presidents. Did it help? No. So those were more positions for more people.
There was political stability though, but anyway, that's another way of looking at it.
How? Which one? Did it last?
No, it did not. It did not. And it was a way to dilute also powers.
Of some, it was targeted at one person to dilute the. And this is the thing a lot of us guys tend to forget. And me, I want to challenge our leaders. Your position that you have, or the position that you hold right now, it is not permanent, my guy. It is not. You are not going to live forever. Hautakuwa hapo until end of time. You're not God. You're not going to be there till end of time.
Yes.
So you can dilute all you want. You can create all you want. But you will live. That one I can assure you. You will live. Hautakuwa hapo forever. So you do whatever you want to do. Butcher it, massacre it. But remember, one day you'll be out. And it will eat you up. Those laws that you are enacting right now, those things you are butchering, you are watering down right now. You are going to be there forever.
Now, like when you
see, that's important what he's saying. But my worry about the butchering of the constitution, or infringing on almost all the articles, it sets precedents.
Yep.
And that is really bad in a democratic society, because any other new president who comes in and after 2022 will think that he did the fourth president did so and so, did this and this, did this and that. So I can get away by doing the same thing. I can get away with amending security laws and just ensuring we go back to the imperial presidency. So my problem with allowing any incumbent to do anything that is contrary to what the document provides is that danger of setting a bad precedent. Because once we start mutilating it, we are again going to lose the benefit of what all these Kenyans fought for during all this period. So to that, I would say, let's just stay vigilant, defend, protect.
But now, Peter, yes. Let me just put you. You're the expert. You're the lawyer. But me, I just want to say, until the day Miguno will be allowed back to this country, you're not going to tell me anything about anyone respecting anything. Until that is done. How many controllers are there for him to come? More than 7. So why isn't he here?
No, however beautiful written, however poetry in motion there is within the text, can survive a constitutionally delinquent president. This current president does not really respect constitutionalism.
Wait, that's hold true. On. Pull up. Hold on. Pull up. Repeat that thing. Constitutional what?
Delinquent. Where?
Big words.
So, and that's let's look at his father first of all. He did not respect the 1963 first constitution. Then 1969 constitution also not really respected, because let me tell you one thing. There are few things that are new in the current document we have, the 2010 constitution, but in terms of constitutionalism, there is nothing new there. Okay. All these things, they could have been done in terms of, and that's why I'm wary of using the word transformative, but we'll come to that. That's a totally different discussion altogether.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's nothing really new in terms of constitutionalism in the constitution. But most of the words were put there to be restrictive. It's like a prescriptive. You are a doctor, and when you want a patient to follow every step of the way in terms of taking drugs, you write a prescription.
Yes.
This constitution was very prescriptive, that even a judge, when he was to rule, it's known that they have to follow certain rules. They have to use certain discretions within some confines of law. But because we had rogue elements during the previous period, they had to write this down to be specific. You have to do this, you have to do this. Whether it was common sense within constitutionalism and within a state that follows the constitution or not.
Okay.
But Peter, I think there is a huge difference, even in terms of the structure of the Constitution of the 2010 and even 1969.
Yeah,
and when I use even the transformative the transformative nature of the 2010 Constitution, I look at it from the fact that it is for the people, right? Yeah. And even the structure, if you look at the 1969, making a comparison, with this one, it put people first. But with the other one, it had to put even other structures, like let's say chapter 6 came in like about the president was like those first chapters. It was all about now the positions. Let
me give you an example to just put this into context. One scholar, I think, I don't know if it's a former Attorney General, Githu Bugai, who once used the example of the Lancaster Constitution, the decolonizing constitution, which was used in Britain. It was used almost all around their former colonies, India, Pakistan, Kenya, Uganda, the same template, but it had very different outcomes in very different countries.
Yeah.
We could argue that India is very well. We could argue that India is the biggest democracy in the world. It has almost 1 billion people. And they all vote, unlike the US, which is a republic, or unlike China, which is a dictatorship, of the proletariat. So India is a democracy, same constitution. Pakistan is a dictatorship, same constitution. So it's the underlying culture that determines whether a people can transform themselves, not necessarily a constitution. A constitution can bring devolution, but we had elements of devolution before.
Majimboism.
The district services at district level, that's also devolved function. It's just we didn't have governors, we had DOs and DCs. That is an element of devolution. It's just that more services have been sent at a local level.
But don't you think even the 2010 Constitution, the English itself that has been put into place, it's so simple.
It's accessible.
Look at the previous ones. Gado, I'm not even a lawyer. Guy, waliekeni kama, it's for lawyers. It's for political elite. Niambie mama mboga nikimpatia saizi ataelewa Constitution ya 2010. But in 1969, the language.
That's an extent of change in the sense
now
of...
Now that's you're putting excuse for them.
No. It's over time, there has been a really push in the legal community to use simple English. Yeah. So even laws that are being passed today, you'll find they're used in simple English, so that the legalese, the jargon in which lawyers used to, take pride in, is being, discarded. We are, how do you call it? we are creating...
Lawyering is just good English and big words.
Now, sababu tuko kwa your point. The tough English to the simple English.
Yes.
Lakini kusema kweli, when, out of all of us here, and other citizens, when have you been called to, Joa, you've been called to use the Constitution to defend yourself? Yes. I'll give you a good example. Unajua ni sheria. Ukisimamishwa na police, you need to show your identification card.
Yes.
Na kwa mfuko yako kama bado iko lazima uwe na shilingi 50.
Talk it kidogo.
Wait. I have to show my identity card when I'm stopped. That is the law.
No. He can ask.
He can ask, but
do I have to give it to you?
There are some things that you need to have when you're stopped. You have to prove you're a citizen.
Are you an alien?
Citizen, like you have capacity to drive.
Unaona, and a lot of times waso usimamishwa tao. Unajua, unakuwa arrogant hivi, utafungwa pingu utaingia ndani.
Unaona? Hata si hivyo, utembee usiku, literally, tembea usiku, and then hauna ID, upatane na polisi.
This goes back to the issue I was pointing out about.
Yes.
It's the cost of the rights. Like you cannot give away. You want convenience. You have to fight for the right to. There is a cost to everything else. There is the economics of the law. Say for example, you have a right. Say for example, to bail. You have a right to bail. But once someone inconveniences you and you want to get away with it, to get away easily. So you bribe them because you don't want to follow the process. Are you getting? The example I used was just apt. The first time I was arrested was on the eve of Christmas, I think 2014. I was coming from a club, just I joined enjoying myself, and I went to take a taxi just outside. But the police had just built a funnel. With
for everyone who's coming.
Yeah, so I'm coming out of the joint, I'm a bit distracted, it was noisy inside, I'm like looking for my friends, we take a cab, and then they're here. Okay, like, I mean, what's wrong? There is no curfew.
Yeah.
I'm an officer of the court. Here is my LSK card. What's the problem? No. You can tell the judge on 27.
Christmas.
No. You get?
Yes.
Or you can talk to us, Chinyamaji. We escort you to your place.
So how did you defend yourself?
But yes.
I want
Now
to
I'm
know.
curious. How did you get out of that situation?
Since you're even a lawyer,
I don't know. You got out of that situation.
I like this, Peter. First of all, umesema umeshikwa. Lakini there's this thing.
There is no offense you've committed.
Yeah, so why were you being arrested?
It's impunity, first of all. So
Thank you.
You have a choice. Everyone has a choice.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself in my foot in that scenario. You either choose, you get to spend Christmas inside. Okay? And then stand up for your right on 27th. I think on Monday you'll be taken to court, or if you are convincing enough, get bail at the police, or and then appear. But the bail has to be the next day, and probably the next day is Christmas, so they're not working.
Tell me, you were proudly, you totally slept.
So there are two consequences. You get sleeping or bribe. Okay, it's easy to bribe.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, I had a third option. There's always a third option.
Peter, I want to ask that this one.
Peter, you're a constitutional lawyer, right?
Yes, I do.
Peter, I
want to know your answer. Like literally.
Did you sleep?
No,
Or
I did.
Juliet took the easy way out.
Nataka kuuliza Peter hizo. A lot of wase wanashikangwa wanapelekwa ndani. Alafu kuna hii bail inaitwa 5,000. Hii 5,000 ukipatiana, alafu utoke na uishie. What happens to that money?
Once the charges are dropped or the case is over, you're supposed to get it back. It's your money. It's that.
Napenda venye anasema watu wangapi Nairobi.
It's your money.
Youths, are you hearing all this?
No, ngoja. Let me.
Yeah, as long as either one.
Let
me be clear on this. Unless one, if the charges are dropped, or you go on with the case until it's concluded.
It's concluded. Yeah. Let me ask, because I saw there was some other time there were mamas protesting in Nakuru.
Yeah, sure.
And there was a lady they caught her on they caught her on video, and she was asking the officer why she was being arrested. So as a citizen, if you come to arrest me, so you have to tell me why you're arresting me.
Yeah.
So what did they tell you they're arresting you for at that night? At that
They
particular
did not.
night?
They did not.
Yeah. See, they are supposed to tell me what you're arresting me for.
Yes.
Because I've been in a similar situation.
Yes.
I was leaving the club. I was not disturbing anyone. I had called an Uber. I was not driving drunk.
Yes.
And yet I was stopped.
Yes.
And I was like, you cannot stop me, man. I've not done anything wrong.
Yeah.
I have a right to be here. I'm a Kenyan citizen. Do you need proof that I'm a citizen?
There are no curfew regulations.
No, ilikuwa December 2017. Exactly. I'm a free citizen. I'm an adult. Mimi si mtoto sijakimbia club bila ID. I'm an adult. Alinisimamisha and I was like,
I'm sure the ID, your ID.
Yeah,
yes.
Nilikuwa na ID. I had my driving license, but I was not driving. I was going to get an Uber.
Thank you.
So I told that guy, you're not taking me anywhere. Wakaanza kukoku mabunduki hapo. And I'm like, we are going for what? I'm an unarmed citizen. Mimi nimetoka kukunywa, nimejenja. Sikunywi pesa yako, sijakuomba pesa, unanisumbua nini? I've not done anything wrong. I'm calling an Uber, itanipeleka nyumbani. Safe and sound. Sijaenda kuingia kwa gari useme I'll endanger someone else's life. So I'm asking him, you're stopping me, unanisimamisha. Okay, sawa, umeitisha mimi ni Mkenya, you've seen my ID because I always carry my ID. So what is the problem? Oh, sijui tuongeleshe tukupe. I'm like, I'm not giving you
Thank you.
Let's waste each other's time. I'm not giving you nothing.
And so then what happened?
For what?
The challenge to all of us is at all times, hold your ground. You see why they came to you, and it's because they have done that before, and maybe we could get an evolution by
right now they normalized it.
You see, like there is that tendency where there is a positive feedback loop or whatever. I'm not so sure how it is, but maybe a biologist can tell you.
It's a positive feedback.
Yes,
it's true.
Where they do that because they know we'll get something.
Yeah.
Once everyone stands their ground, the first time, the second time, the third time, then this culture is going to get away. But
Thank
because you want
you.
convenience,
I love that.
you don't want to be disturbed. You don't want, to be inconvenienced.
But that
there is
means-
a cost for that right.
So that means the system itself is just broken.
No, we
In
are
essence.
broken. We are broken.
Let me
We
ask.
encourage the
Let me ask.
behavior.
So you actually, he didn't. He
Me, I
stood so
didn't.
firm.
But how many people have been arrested for standing their
So
ground?
many people.
That mama,
Yes,
they were arresting
yes.
her on live TV,
They
on a
have
camera,
to
and they did not
arrest.
tell her why they're
Yes,
arresting
they
her.
They can't
yeah.
arrest all of us. The sovereignty of the people.
No,
we have to
no.
defend.
Let me ask.
You say
when
this
people,
very
when these
beautiful.
people go to
You
when
recited.
they go Kiganjo, and they taught about the constitution. I want to know if cops are taught about the constitution.
It takes around 7 years for someone to graduate through law school and all the other shenanigans that follow up. Yeah.
So it's kuhesabu meno na kukimbia wafunzi wake anything kuhusu
6 months
constitution.
surely.
Yes.
6 months
Yes.
I can't even get through contract law.
So it's the system
It is the
actually.
system
It's the
then.
system.
Because
It's not
if you're
us.
giving someone a gun and you're telling him to
Somebody.
go uphold and defend the constitution and he has no idea what
And
the
you
hell
probably-
he's uploading, what the hell he's talking about.
Nothing. He doesn't-
What is it?
He doesn't even know
He's
or
not
read the
even-
constitution.
What? He doesn't know. So
Collins.
why are we giving
Collins.
these people guns? Why are we giving these people guns?
Yes.
Collins, if the problem was only the police, then it would be, yes, it's only the police, but it's not.
No,
We
it's
just
not- I'm not saying the problem
No,
is
no,
the
no.
police.
We've talked about doctors. We've talked about lawyers. We've talked about,
Say, when we
all
say the
we've
system,
talked about,
when we say even the system, that means even our educational system. Tell me,
Yes.
in
Yeah.
school, did you learn anything about the constitution? I'm
No.
talking from
Wewe ngoja
Magesh.
kulikuwa na kitu inaitwa
Kulikuwa na-
GHC.
Yeah.
GHC. Yes. And social
tuliambiwa
studies.
kwanza the president
Please kufanya
is a
GHC.
symbol of national unity when we were in school.
Yeah,
Right now
yes.
nimeona kwa constitution he's not even part of that shit. Nimeona national flag, national anthem, seal, coat of arms, but sijaona president. So
So you're telling me shida ni sisi.
No, shida ni sisi. No system can sustain or can be, cannot be corrupted by a corrupt people. If because we are
I
a
know
corrupt
I am
people,
not
however
corrupt.
beautiful a system is, like say for example, look at the constitution we are discussing. We all agree it's a beautiful document,
Yeah, it
well
is.
written,
It is.
Yes, it
aspirational.
is.
It has all the
It
good things.
is.
Like it's like, how do you call it?
It's a matter of
perfect system.
implementation, yeah.
You get
Yeah.
it would have a perfect system, but we are not a perfect people. Not that we aspire
So
to
right
be,
now-
not will ever be, but because we are so corrupted fundamentally.
So, Ina, where does it come from? Where's the root cause of us not being perfect?
Thank you. Or not even being perfect, just the way you're saying it, that us even being corrupt.
Because, like say for example, when someone says judges are corrupt, they come from lawyers because they are the
Lawyers
bench-
are liars.
the bench comes from the bar. The bar comes from the people. You get, I came from a school system that you went to. So if
Yeah.
I'm corrupt and all of us lawyers are corrupt, then it means it's, you know.
So that's why when I'm saying,
the
the problem is just not us simply. It's just
It's
the
the
system.
system.
Let's
Yes.
fix the system
The
first,
all
and then
our systems
trust
have
you
a
me,
problem.
our next generation will be
Systems
so good.
have a problem. If
I
someone
don't-
walked
I
away
don't
from
like
being
that.
a doctor because of the system, si ati alianguka mtihani, si ati yako anajua
you
nini
know,
anafanya.
system
Let
just
me-
amplifies who you are. You know the way they say money amplifies your character, your goodness and your badness. The same thing, the system. Like say for example,
So-
you know this is a system. Like say for example, this system is neither good or bad. It's just the way it is. The podcast. You get. If you are going to say shit things on these mics and then someone else hears them, will you blame the broadcast? No, it's not the broadcast. It's the people coming out with their utterances. If I'm, say, for example, speak here and, you know, incite someone, or, you know, maybe pass a corrupt message, this system can take a bad message and a good one.
And it's going to
then-
inflict them, right?
Yes. So, say for example, so you want us, instead of correcting me, so that to be able to issue messages that aspire.
So that means I have to come up with a structure within this that's not going to inflict my people in one way or another. I'm just using your words against you.
I hear.
Thank you for agreeing on that. Let's continue, Patrick.
But then, unfortunately, because of the original sin, the person who is sick. Whatever system you have, they will
but
always
you
find
know,
a
I can
way.
change that person, right?
That's my argument.
Yes,
change
but
the person.
I can change that.
But
But
and that
again,
person is in the mirror.
But I have to first of all work on this system first, because this system is the one that's going to change this person.
Let me tell you.
That is the medium, right?
We will be here until the cows come home. You trying to change the system.
But we have to.
Good.
Thank
now,
you.
because we are on an impasse hapa kidogo,
Yes.
So, what are the things? What things do we feel that this constitution missed?
Yes.
And what are the good things about this constitution?
Let me start with the bad ones first, because there are very many good things in this constitution. Maybe the bad thing, a bicameral parliament. We don't need the Senate. It's a useless entity. Totally. You could see the debacle that was happening and revenue division. And you know what they're talking about? They're talking about a very, maybe 30% of the budget.
That's it?
Yeah. The entire 70% is appropriated in the National Assembly.
Yeah.
47 counties are now crippled because they don't have money.
Are you getting? Yeah, I get the essence of a parliamentary democracy and that, but the vision that that the drafters had when we were having the Senate is to ensure that we have an upper house, maybe similar to the House of Lords in England or the Congress in the Senate in the US, to oversee the National Assembly, to supervise it. But they didn't draft it properly. So by the time these things were coming into force, they realized the National Assembly has way more powers than the Senate. And the Senate is, it was also supposed to supervise devolution. It rarely does that because, as again I said, the original sin, corrupt people will result to a corrupt system. So I think we need to just figure out, have one a National Assembly. We are not very many. 50 million people can be served by one parliament. Secondly, just also on parliament, we increased the numbers of the constituencies to I think 350 or something. So that's a bad idea. Bad idea in the sense of, like, what are all those people doing?
Yeah.
You get 200 people are enough. Actually, my proposal would be, if because I'll come to the question you asked about amending the constitution, is we could have the counties and just have 2 members of parliament per county. Yeah. Then a male and a female. Then we have to cure the problem with the 2-gender third rule, where we are required to have both female and male members of parliament, and not to have more than 2/3 from one gender. So because you can't say Kenyans will elect whoever they want, and it can't be true democracy when you tell people to elect who they want, and then you come nominate another 100 to figure out the balance. It wouldn't be fair on the taxpayer.
Okay.
So just abolish the entire thing. Have 2 members of parliament per county, a male and a female. Then a few people can be nominated to take care of special interest. The people with a disability, you can have one person from the. Is it politically correct to say the deaf society?
I'm not so sure, but people living with disabilities.
Yes, but you see, there are categories there, so you can have each from different category representing those interests because they're important. Yeah, and also maybe other special interests, so that we sort out parliament, because parliament, remember, is at the center of a current democracy, and the current one is not functional. The new constitution put a lot of powers in the parliament.
Yes.
This parliament is not only required to legislate and give us all the laws that it's also supposed to be a budget-making parliament. This is the parliament that's supposed to know how much money goes into music, how much money goes into agriculture, how much money goes into aviation.
Different sectors.
Sectors. So it has to be a serious house of debate.
Zile vitu nzuri ni gani kwa constitution?
Mi hata wacha tuseme vitu nzuri or anything. Bring about the Western and all that, the structures into this. Why haven't you thought of going back to our traditions, how it used to be? We used to have clans, elders, and nothing like even president. Why can't we take that structure? I mean, we are Africans. We are going back to our roots.
Let me tell you. Peter just told me before you walked in, the root of all our corruption
started there.
It started there.
With our elders.
You want to take
Are you
us back
telling me it started? How?
2 questions. First one is on corruption. The first one is going back. Your comment is very general. You're assuming that all African society has the same.
Different.
No,
they have
different.
They
had different.
Yeah.
And given maybe 30 years of.
Let me speak of Kenya, because I know of Kenya. Luo, they had their own structure. Kikuyus had their own structure.
Yeah. Then you're going to face different problems in terms of territory now. Where do you draw the line for Luos? Yeah, and when they move out of their Luo nation, how are they to be governed? Yes, you're going to run into other problems which modernity has introduced.
Thank you.
So maybe that system can be a bit tricky. And democracy, as they say, is the best government. We've not discovered one that is better. The other thing, to reiterate what what Patrick was saying about corruption.
Corruption, yeah.
One, I don't mean that all corruption is bad.
Huh?
Not all corruption is bad. But the current corruption that we have...
Corruption itself is a huge disease.
Wait,
No. Allow me to just make my case. Then we can address each point. Because all points can lead into a rabbit hole that, distracts us from...
the main discussion. Yes, tell us.
Yeah. In most African societies, it was not even referred to as a bribe. But before you could even speak to the elders,
you have to give them something.
You have to appease them.
Yes.
You get that in a modern setting, because the elder were the authority then, that in a modern setting is corruption. Even the gods could not speak to us without, being corrupted, being bribed. You had to give sacrifice.
Yeah.
Even was it Jacob, Esau, and Isaac? He needed something for him to bless Isaac to bless Jacob.
Yeah.
Then Jacob found a way to beat the system.
Smart man.
And walked with some blessings.
Smart man.
You get. So that system stays.
Yeah.
I was giving Patrick an example. If you go to, say, the lands registry today, and they give you a very excellent service, and the mama is just there, or the clerk is there, or the officer is there, smiling, giving you all the services you need, giving you directions, guidance. You'll feel a bit...
you want to give them like a tip?
Yeah,
or?
a tip. But that's still corruption, because you see, now they start expecting that. This is not like a private enterprise where you go into a hotel and you leave a tip, which is also corruption.
I don't... So you want to tell me if I go to a restaurant and this person serves me well and I give them something?
No, it's an appreciation.
Yes, it's a token of appreciation.
Yes,
it's the same thing.
But now, revert back to what I was saying. If the tip comes before the service to entice someone to do the service well...
That's corruption now.
Yes, that's corruption.
That's corruption. But you can't tell me that...
So the point is, what I was leading to is that culture of us trying to appease someone before we can get a service is so prevalent, and so ingrained into our culture that these days procurement is the best profession. Basically a clerical job. It's the more
it's like kickbacks.
It's very a clerical job to, for someone of any intellectual curiosity to do. But go to our universities. See how many people are enrolling to do procurement. You'll get very
quick money.
Yes.
Juliet, again, kitu gani nzuri imetoka kwa hii constitution?
Me, the fact that it's a transformative in nature is a win for me. The fact that it's English is so easy to understand as compared to other constitutions. And the fact that... even like now, constitutional amendment, which I'm very happy it's not going to happen. Guys, it's not going to happen. We'll come back to this podcast and say, yes, it didn't happen. Based on the fact that if you look at the procedures, it's going to take a while for us to even have a constitutional amendment. And the fact that the constitutional amendment is for them, not for the people. Yeah.
The prince.
What up? Something good that came out of this constitution? Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. Because nothing is being implemented, so nothing good has really come out.
A lot of things have been implemented.
It's good on paper. 2 gender rules, haijafikiwa. People respecting the rule of law, it's supposed to haijafanywa. So there's nothing good that has come out of this. Nothing. It is a beautiful paper. It's a beautiful document. It has envisaged the best of the very best. But nothing good has come out of it. Because if we were talking something good, if chapter 6 of this constitution had been implemented, 3/4 of the people we see masquerading around in suits here would be home. Hawangekuwa wanatusumbua. Hatungekuwa tunasumbuliwa na watu wakiongea vitu hata hatuelewi. We'll come to that. But nothing good has come out of this constitution. So honestly, nothing good.
So Prince, that means one thing we are having as a problem is we have a beautiful constitution.
Yes,
so we have a problem in terms of
implementation. And one thing I don't understand is you're a Kenyan. You've been trusted. The people have trusted you, or the computers trusted you to lead them. Unajua tumeambiwa kuna watu walielektiwa na vifaranga vya computer. So if people trusted you with leadership, and you cannot implement the very thing that you swore an oath to. Because see, people swear an oath to defend and need the constitution.
Prince ulivotia nani wewe?
Ame kudisappoint kibai.
It's not even about the person you voted for. It's just the leadership spectrum as a whole. Because sometimes you sit down and someone is telling you, you know what, we'll have a referendum, we have 2 billion to spend on a referendum. 2 billion and doctors are not getting salos. 2 billion and doctors cannot get nice PPEs. 2 billion and children in Turkana do not even have classrooms.
2 billion and 43 billion is just being lost just like that.
Just like that. For what? So that we can create 2 more positions for two people. I mean, we are like 50 million people. What the heck are people going to help us with?
Yes.
So yes, tumeongeza deputy president, I'm a prime minister, or deputy prime. For what? I mean,
so many.
How is he going to help?
Preach, Colin.
And then there's nothing good has come out of this constitution. 10 years down the line, we are. I don't know.
Unemployment is so high. Youths are dying, killing themselves. It's just so.
As you're saying this, unafunguliwa mashtaka na but
mimi kwanza jajibu point yangu ya constitutional amendment, the procedure and all that.
Yes. What about it?
I wanted to know like the entire length of time. You personally, do you think that the constitution is gonna be amended? From a constitutional layer perspective,
it can be amended.
Should it be amended though? That is that.
I have not found a justifiable reason yet, other than what I said about removing the Senate and trying to reduce the number of constituencies. But a constitution can be amended at any time. But even 5 years after being promulgated, 10 years, it can be amended if there is a justifiable reason.
Yeah, thank you.
But the procedure is very long.
As I've argued before here, for me, the problem is usually never the system. What we should be looking for as, our people, we the people, is for us to try and change our ways. That is more fundamental. Once we change that, no constitution, however beautiful written, is going to transform the country. A country is transformed socially, economically. When Kibaki came into power, he opened up the country really well. Even more yet, I think from 94 to 98, tried to privatize stuff and open up the country a lot. Economically, a lot of people were employed, people got jobs. And this was even during Moi's time, during his sunset years, and during Moi Kibaki's first term, we saw a lot of infrastructure. It was still under the 1969 constitution. There was a lot of transformation. So transformation is not wholly dependent on a document. If the people do not respect that document. We did a vetting of judges. We did vetting of police officers, including corporals, and like privates at the lower police stations who reside at the chief's camp. All those were vetted. But because the people themselves can be able to, camouflage, beat the system, cheat, or, bribe their way through the vetting process, we still end up with the rotten eggs.
So it's still the system itself.
Okay, so
you see, however well we change the system, even if we have among one of the best constitution in the world. probably only South Africa has a better constitution. And let me even just use South Africa as an nini. South Africa has, so one of the greatest inequalities ever.
Yes.
80% of the land. And without land, almost every other resource comes from the land. For you even to get debt, it need to be secured. For you to, to own companies, you need produce, materials, resources, mining, whatever. Almost everything has to come from the land. Before the Industrial Revolution, there was an agrarian revolution. You get 80% of the land is owned by less than 10% of the population, which is white. Okay? But if you read their constitution, which in some parts the Kenyan Constitution tried to
emulate, yes.
Yes, it's beautifully written, but it covers up what is the real problem. That's why you see they go on rampage on xenophobia attacks. The racism is still too much. They just got in the Independence the other day in 1994. So if we take the South African Constitution, which is better than ours, which even creates a constitutional court to always look at these issues, and it's the last body you go to when you need an interpretation of the Constitution, still the same problem will ail us. Because a worm will find its way through the system, and eat up the system.
So change has to begin from us.
Yeah, the UK does not have a written constitution. Its constitution is unwritten in the sense that it's found in so many documents. But they have traditions of constitutionalism. Look at what is happening in the US now. The US has over the years been saying that it's the best country in the world. The biggest, the best, the best country ever.
Land of the free.
The land of the free. Home of the brave. But look at what their president is doing. Openly racist, openly, issuing...
Undermining all the systems.
Undermining all the systems.
Yeah.
That's why I told you, no constitution however good can withstand a constitutionally delinquent president.
Okay. I love that story. Yes. I think I need to print a t-shirt.
And on that point, as we wind up, what are we telling young people? Because these are the leaders of tomorrow. Old guards will walk out. So tunawaambia nini juu ya this promulgated Constitution of 2010, which we are celebrating vibaya sana kesho.
Me, I'm not celebrating. Please, let's not confuse issues. Me, I'm not celebrating anything because there's nothing to be celebrated. It's just a beautiful, good document, and that's where it ends. As for the young people, first of all, let me address. There's something Peter said about Chomoa in the Senate and all that. First of all, I feel we are overrepresented.
Yes.
We are overrepresented.
We are.
And anytime, first of all, there's a position called women representative. Yes. Let me just talk about that position. And I love women. My girlfriend is a woman. My mother is a woman. It helps.
You're giving back. Bye.
But my girlfriend is a woman. My mother is a woman. My grandmother is a woman. It's awesome. But to be honest, every time people talk about equality and we want the same level playing ground, and then you turn around and create a position solely for women. This, and the reason why I respect someone like Martha Karua, Charity Ngilu, they were slugging out with the men back in the day. Like they came to parliament.
Mekatilili.
Them days, there was no position created for them. It had to be a woman rep and your Charity Ngilu afike parliament. She got there in the midst of all this. So is that position really necessary?
It is.
For what?
She said you have to follow the data. And the data is in the sense that
the data is better, necessary.
No, it's better to have women at the table. This conversation is enriched
we are not saying,
by her presence. I'm
not saying they exclude women from the table. No, that's not what I'm saying.
No.
All I'm saying is this, Peter. All I'm saying is this. Let me just clarify my statement. I'm not saying let's exclude women. No. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Inclusion, we should be there, all of us, because we are a democracy. We are a society that respects the rule of law, or should be anyway. So we should not exclude women. All I'm saying is let's have the same playground.
Let's look at it practically
Rules
now.
Should apply to everyone the same way.
Let's be pragmatic about that. Now there is a constituency, Kikuyu constituency. There's another constituency. Let's call it Kabete constituency, Kasarani constituency, 3 constituency. Then they're told to elect a member of parliament. No discrimination is put on who they will elect, other than the qualification, which is also another word for discrimination. Yeah. So you qualify, then you're elected. And then, given our background, which it's a historical context, your love of history, you understand.
From a patriarchal.
I have issues with that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Me too.
Yeah. Tendencies will be, because of our background, we will tend to look at men as leaders instead of women. But again, we say the data is in. It's better to have women voices well represented, not just represented as flower girls, so that we just have like 2 members of parliament or 5 members of parliament in the house of 210 members of parliament. Trust me, the women voice will not be heard there.
Absolutely.
You get? So you need to balance out the numbers properly, so that to ensure, even if their views are not implemented, they are heard, and they are heard clearly.
Have they been heard? Because if they were being heard, then Parliament would be home. Because without the 2 gender rules, you're supposed to dissolve Parliament. Did I get that?
No. The former Attorney General took the case for an advisory opinion to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court issued an advisory which is binding, that that clause of the Constitution, those articles of the Constitution, should be implemented progressively. They were not to happen immediately, because
it's been 10 years.
If they were to happen immediately, remember what would have happened is that the parliament which was elected then would have been declared not null and void,
obsolete,
unconstitutional. That's the best word to use. If they are declared unconstitutional, then they cannot sit. Yep. And which body is supposed to take care of that problem? The same parliament. So we'd end up in a constitutional crisis where we need a parliament to sort out the two-third gender rule, but the existing parliament is unconstitutional, so it cannot, hold any valid sitting.
Yeah.
So you see,
but
now,
okay, progressive.
Since then,
how long are we supposed to wait for
Since
this?
then, there have been a lot of traction in terms of trying to put bills to put into effect, But the problem has been how to do it. Because, like I said, my objections towards just nominating a bunch of women. What is a group of women called?
I'm not jumping onto that one.
Come up with one.
Yeah. Just nominating them for the sake, that's not a fair system. That's not a fair system. So discussions are still ongoing as to what would be a fair system of ensuring there is, if not equal representation, then at least there is equity in the representation.
Okay, Sasa.
Let me just mention, I think the Constitution has not been defended properly about the good things it brings.
Tell me the good things they bring.
It regurgitates very good things. It reiterates like very good things, that like even having these conversations we're having right now. Okay, we might have challenges in terms of implementation. Yeah, we can have a black Subaru with fake number plates just down there.
That is not a challenge.
No.
That is an obstacle. Please, let's not confuse people.
No. I'm saying
someone cringing on your right is not a challenge. That is an obstacle. That is not a challenge.
Thank you.
That is not a
challenge. Is an obstacle.
It's an obstacle. No, it's kukatazwa.
No. But you see, that's right for us to have this conversation here in a very candid manner and open manner without fear of any recrimination has been guaranteed there.
But is it being implemented?
It is. We are. No.
Are we not? It's good you come to that point.
Are we not?
There's someone who made a website.
Are we not saying
let me go back. There's someone who made a website with the countdown to the term, President Uhuru's term coming to an end. By then it was like 717 days. And he listed down all the things, all the monies, if that is correct, all the monies that have been lost through corruption. And all these things are a matter of public record. The president's term, we all know the president's term is coming to an end at a certain time. It's in the Constitution, we all know it. So me writing it down, that guy wrote it down And he wrote down the number of monies that has been lost. And all these things are public record. It's not like he came up with numbers in himself. So why was he arrested again? Tell me again, why was he arrested?
That's what I'm saying. We have
why
a challenge with impunity.
Why is Miguna not in the country?
Yeah, why is Miguna not here?
See, I said we have challenges in implementation. But the fact that, and it's also progressive, the fact that people at UN could not speak openly like this, we are at a university speaking openly like this. People could not do this, like such things in the 90s openly. You know, even just speaking about it, it would be a problem. So yes, there are a few issues, and we have a branch of government that has issued orders to protect and safeguard the rights of Miguna. It's not that there are no court orders, there are, which means we've won at least the judiciary on this. We have that on our side. We are fighting to have parliament on our side too, but it's filled with jokers at the moment. We'll see what to do with them in the next election.
Again,
you
just
see, so
remove the Kenyatas and the Odinga.
It's progressive. But the fact that these rights are here, enshrined, beautifully written, and that everyone is aware that they exist and they are entitled to them, that's something to cherish.
Okay. Winding up. What are we telling the youth?
Kwanza, I just want youth to listen to this conversation, and one thing you need to know is read the Constitution, stand firm by your words. Whenever you are harassed, Kolo here just spoke. Umesikia story yake. So do not agree and be that person who supports even corruption. Right now we are crying of the COVID millions that have been lost, but billions yes, that have been lost. So it's a matter of, first of all, knowing who you are as a person and standing up and upholding to your integrity. Now using Constitution on your side to support you in whatever disease. Like Constitution is, to me, I think it's such a beautiful holy Bible that I should follow to the latter. And whenever something happens to me, I should know my right. And you shouldn't actually infringe it in one way or another, regardless. Constitution says it, 1 or 2 or 3 things. So youths, read, and be firm to that.
Okay, to my fellow youths.
Yeah.
Please, all I can say is think before you act. Think about your actions. Think about what you're supposed to do. I know sometimes you don't even need the Constitution to tell you to do the right thing. You don't. Some of these things are basic common sense. If you went to class 1, ukafunzwa A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. Some of these things you know it's wrong to hurt your neighbor. You know it's wrong to steal from your neighbor. You don't have to be told some of these things. So for me, to the youth, because we are the leaders of tomorrow. I don't know if we are, but they keep telling us that we are the leaders of tomorrow. But if you want to get there, we need to really, let me quote Dr. Miguna on this, focus and mobilize.
One, the Constitution that we currently have is a good document. We could not have asked for anything better. So let's cherish it. Let's appreciate it, and let's defend it and uphold it as it urges us, all of us, to do. Secondly, our problem, which I keep reverting back to, is our culture. And I would ask all of us to rein in on our own greed. Because most people condemn corruption, as Mother Karua, I think, says, because of lack of opportunity to be corrupt themselves. It's not out of principle that you detest to be corrupt. So you see, if the problem is us not having opportunity to be corrupt ourselves, not getting that tender, and rising, that's going to be a problem, because we're going just to replace the current MPs with another set of MPs.
Yeah.
And then the cycle will be the same. And then we'll be here another day, another year, another month, another century, if the good Lord allows us, complaining about the system. But the system is good. Huh? The structures that are currently...
The system is not good.
Yeah, the new constitution, which is not exhaustive, we have other laws that supplement it. We can work very well under them. But if you have to change them, whether it be through BBI or the Third Way Alliance or through a youth initiative or through a revolution like Miguna, there has to be a justifiable reason as to why we are amending. Then we go through a consensus and agree. Here, there is one thing that is wrong. Here is another thing that is wrong. The oldest constitution in the world, among I think the still existing countries, is the U.S. Constitution. This has been amended so many times. But it was arrived at through a compromise, big compromise between federalists, those who wanted a unitary government, and those who wanted state governments. But it's a work in progress. So if there are issues, we look at them, we address them. But let's not lie to ourselves that we'll be amending the documents or the constitution to make ourselves better. Look into the mirror, make yourself better. Change one person at a time, and then maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, I hope this conversation have changed you though.
Right.
Yes.
So tomorrow marks 10 years. Completely 10 years of the promulgation of the Kenyan Constitution, 2010. And we've been having a conversation concerning that constitution, the good, the bad, the ugly. My guest today has been Peter Njoroge, managing partner for PROW & Co Advocates, Juliet, Atellah, data analyst, Kolo, the creative, the man, the prince. My name is Patrick Gatua, and this is Unfiltered.